A šta to radiš, Srećo?
Pravim jaje.
A, hoćeš da mi pokažeš ono što smo spremale za priredu? Bravo, odlično. Ajmo okret jedan. Odlično. A jedva čekaš da dođe u priredu?
Da.
Tamo će biti sve tvoje drugarice, ili tako?
Da.
Sve ćete zajedno da plešete. Tako da... Srboljube!
Pa da li si ti normalan? Jesam li ti rekla 100 puta da ćeš pasti?
Do you ever wonder if humanity will reach a point where we all become collectively enlightened? Like, we'll all just stop doing obviously dumb stuff one day and live out each of our lives as happy and healthy individuals? Well, today is not that day. Nor is that day coming anytime soon, because we're on part 16 of this series. For anyone new here, we're looking at people who have removed themselves from the gene pool in ways that are so idiotic they prove that Darwin was right. So get your popcorn ready as we take a look at even more embarrassingly dumb ways people died. Big bada boom. Okay, before we dive into this first one, I just need to check real quick. Nope, I'm not going insane. So here's a quick question. If you found some old unstable explosives on a piece of land near your home, what would you do? A. Call the authorities and alert them to the situation. B. Pick them up, cart them around, and attempt to bury them. I'll give you a few seconds to contemplate. Are we done? Cool. So the answer is obviously A, right? No one in their right mind would try to handle them, let alone bury them, unless they knew what they were doing, right? Right? Okay, good. I'm not going insane. Why did I ask? Oh, because back in 2004, a gentleman in Chiavenna, Italy, did just that. He discovered some old sticks of dynamite in an abandoned shack on some land near his vineyard. He'd had some experience of working with explosives before, so decided instead of calling the authorities, he could handle the situation himself. Unfortunately for him, this dynamite had been sitting around for a long time and was sweating nitroglycerin, a highly unstable liquid component of this type of explosive. Unaware of how volatile these explosives now were, our man set about attempting to bury them. He dug a 30-foot hole, carefully placed the dynamite in it, and then gently filled it in. However, when he tried to flatten the earth mound he'd created by patting it down, the compression triggered the dynamite. The explosion was so huge that it rocked the town of Chiavenna, and police rushed to investigate. They found our man torn to shreds, and he remained alive just long enough to tell them the story, before receiving his Darwin Award. Got the hump. There's a special circle of hell for people who hurt animals, in my opinion. But there's another circle for those who pick on the wrong animal and lose, where they're mocked for all eternity. And that's the internet. Back in February 2023, the Bryoshka Recreation Center in Omsk, Siberia, had a surprise guest for a children's event being held there, a Bactrian camel. That's the kind with 2 humps. The camel, however, was not as excited to be there. Its handler tried to drag it towards the event through a patch of snow outside the center, but the camel was having none of it. Getting increasingly frustrated, the handler resorted to violence, repeatedly striking the animal in the head. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever seen an adult Bactrian camel, but these things are huge. They're 6 foot tall at the shoulder and weigh in around 1,000 pounds. And while they look pretty chill, they can become unstoppably aggressive. So picking a fight with one is not a smart move, as this guy quickly discovered. After landing the second blow, the camel suddenly responded by biting, mauling, trampling, and flinging the handler around like a ragdoll, as he was obviously no match for the massive beast. After the handler stopped moving, the camel went back to being a typical chill camel, as if nothing had happened. Needless to say, after being pummeled by a beast more than 7 times his size, the handler didn't make it. So yeah, I guess the lesson here is treat your animals as you want to be treated. Especially animals much bigger than you that are prone to violence. Fast food fake. You know, considering how many of us indulge in fast food every day, the people flipping your burgers and making your pizzas really don't make enough money. But in a bid to make more cash, one pair of fast food managers ended up getting way more than they bargained for. This was back in the year 2000, when the night and day managers of a Burger King in Indianapolis came up with a plan to stage a robbery of the store they worked for. The day manager would steal $4,000 in cash from the day's takings before tying up the night manager in the walk-in freezer and setting a small fire in a wastebasket, making it look like the robbers had also tried to burn the place down. The fire alarm would go off, and when the fire brigade arrived, the night manager would tell them it was a robbery and no one would think the pair of them had taken the money. This might have been a plan that worked if the day manager hadn't messed up. They set the wastebasket on fire, but it was barely a smolder, which didn't set off any of the fire alarms. It wasn't until the morning crew came in and the rush of air from the open door sparked the smoldering embers to burst into flames that the firefighters were called. And only then did they find the teenager in the freezer suffering from extreme hypothermia. As you can guess, she didn't make it to the hospital. But after realizing that the night manager's bindings were loose enough for her to have gotten free and that she could have escaped from the unlocked freezer, they began to suspect. Oh man, if only there'd been something to warn him of the danger ahead. I don't know, like a set of bright orange cones purposely blocking the road? Be smart. Back in 2002, a farmer from South
People who cheat in their speedruns are hilarious because they're terrible at hiding the fact that they cheated. These are the funniest fake Minecraft speedruns. This speedrun, everything seems normal, but every time I see that, I always regret it. They're in survival, the difficulty is normal, cheats are off, they create their world, nope, hang on a second. Did you see that? If I go frame by frame here, this speedrunner is using Lunar Client, which is not a good sign. And they have an intro. Tony, roll the clip, let the viewers hear what the speedrunner is saying.
I am going to beat the speedrun world record in this game.
The world building screen looks normal. They spawn in, they have a timer, this is fantastic. They're looking straight ahead, good job. They are not selecting the first slot in their hotbar. Oh no. The speedrunner approaches the tree directly in front of them. Like all fake speedrunners, they break the tree, and beneath them is a barrel. And inside the barrel, oh brother. Listen to what this goofball is saying. They have no defense.
Oh, why is there a barrel and there is so much loot in it? I think it's a new update.
New update, my butt. That was so stupid. If you're gonna cheat, at least try to hide the fact that you're cheating. Out of nowhere, there is a very sudden cut. The speedrunner is directly in front of a desert temple, but even though the speedrun footage cut, the timer is still on the previous time. But if we go one frame ahead, the timer suddenly skips ahead 30 seconds, which is clear proof that the timer was added after recording the speedrun. This is just shameless. So the speedrunner enters this desert temple, digging down, they break the pressure plate, everything is looking good. They mine the TNT, these are professional speedrun strats, even though this guy is a goofy goober. Inside the chests, everything is looking normal, except for, hold the phone, 32 golden apples? What in tarnation? They open the next chest, more gapples. The third chest, more gapples, come on. The fourth chest, take a guess what is inside the fourth chest? More enchanted golden apples. How subtle. Okay, well, the speedrunner has everything they could possibly need. They were very sly with hiding the fact that they were cheating this time.
Wow, there is so many enchanted golden apples.
Before it was subtle, but this time just so obvious. The speedrunner begins building up out of the desert temple. When out of nowhere, there is another sudden cut. Again, they are unable to trim the speedrun timer in sync with the footage, because if I go forward one more frame, the time suddenly skips ahead 25 seconds. And how convenient, they are directly in front of a ruined nether portal. The speedrunner approaches this ruined nether portal, opening up the chest, and the loot in here does look normal. Nope, never mind. Is that crossbow called an AK-47? And I'm sorry, I could be stupid, but what in tarnation is ancient artifact? Well, the speedrunner breaks this golden block, collecting it. Again, there is another sudden cut. They're doing the same baloney with their timer, and they have found themselves directly in front of a village. How convenient. But this isn't just any old village. The speedrunner approaches this seemingly normal villager house, and inside is at least 100 villagers jam-packed in there like sardines. And the speedrunner's reaction is just so priceless.
What is happening in this house?
The next few moments, I have no clue what is happening. What is in front of the speedrunner, I don't know. Is this a new structure? I know there was a new update and you guys were giving me a hard time about not knowing about the mace. Genuinely, I couldn't tell if it was a mod or not. But I'm pretty sure last time I checked, a toolsmith is not something in this game. Yep, I can confirm. Those trades are not legitimate. The trades, honestly, are just horrible. And that's when the speedrunner proceeds to threaten this villager by surrounding putting them in TNT, and then they try trading with them again. And now all of a sudden the trades are immaculate. Gee, I didn't know threatening villagers with death is a new update of Minecraft. So the speedrunner gets some dirt, and they proceed to get 128 diamond blocks, a diamond pickaxe, a diamond axe. This is truly a mob boss speedrun attempt. Well, these next few moments, let's just watch the footage together in silence, and you tell me if you notice what just happened.
We need some ender eyes to enter the ender to break the ender dragon, so I think we will go to the ladder.
Yeah, if you didn't catch that, just a moment ago, the speedrunner has 2 obsidian. Wait a tick. When did they get a command block? I don't even know. There is so much cheating that's going right over my head. And after the cut, they suddenly have 10 obsidian blocks. Well, with these newly found materials, the speedrunner builds a nether portal, lighting it and entering the end. And right off the bat, the load screen is cut off. They are not even looking straight ahead. And I am 99% sure that bastions don't have bridges like this. Now keep in mind, there is a piglin just hanging out. And legitimately, the only thing we can do here is just watch this next segment. It is so ridiculously goofy.
Oh, there is a picnic. Hey, you, give me all your ender pearl or I will kill you with my AK-47.
The speedrunner again threatens another mob in Minecraft, this time with their AK-47. They do get golden ingots, but I don't know what is happening. This piglin traps them in bedrock. So what, piglins have creative mode now? The piglin steals all of the speedrunner's gear, and then the speedrunner is following the piglin down into this like dungeon. And I'm sorry, what is this? The Fellowship of the Ring? Hang on a second, I just noticed now they have a spawn egg in their inventory. I am so genuinely confused. This is like a fever dream right now. The speedrunner is about to get executed by these piglins. He is about to be forced to walk the plank into lava. That's when the speedrunner gets hit off. They ender pearl clutch back onto the ledge, and just like that, they unleash terror on the piglin with their AK-47. I'm actually kind of intrigued as to how a crossbow did that. The piglin that they killed dropped so many ender pearls. There is another cut. The speedrunner is suddenly bridging with wood, which is literally like playing with fire. But just like that, they found themselves directly in front of a nether fortress. The speedrunner follows this path on the nether fortress, and how convenient, at the end of the path is a blaze spawn. So they use their crossbow, wiping out all of the blaze and getting 2 blaze rods. Unfortunately though, the speedrunner is wasting a lot of time waiting for those next few blazes to spawn. Now, a professional speedrunner would know to reduce the render distance, so that way all of the mobs are spawning in that one chunk. But this guy is a baloney head. There is a sudden cut. The speedrunner suddenly has a sword. Where they got it, I don't know, don't ask me. They kill a blaze with the sword, and they literally get 64 blaze rods from it. You can hear the speedrunner in their microphone trying to explain what is happening.
Okay guys, guess what? I just killed a river skeleton and get its stone sword, and this stone sword have good luck, so when I kill blaze, they drop more blaze rod. It's very normal in Minecraft.
It just sounds like nonsense, and at the end of it, they say, I am not cheating.
And I'm not kidding.
Yeah, right. This guy stinks. Well, the speedrunner crafts blaze powder. There is another cut. The timer has skipped ahead 10 seconds, even though they're in a completely different location. There's another portal directly in front of them, but it's a ruined nether portal, which last time I checked, there aren't ruined nether portals in the nether. Am I just stupid, or is this guy trying to fool me? The speedrunner approaches this ruined nether portal, opening up the chest, getting obsidian and flint and steel. How convenient. So they complete the portal, lighting it, and returning back to the overworld. And before there is even a load screen, tell me if you notice what just happens here. Let's watch it together. Yeah, if I go frame by frame, at the bottom left of the screen, you can clearly see it says set on game mode to survival. What a load of barnacles. This guy is just cheating left and right. Where they are, I don't know. They're underwater, they're about to run out of air, until they approach this seemingly inconspicuous hole in front of them. And would you look at that? Why am I not surprised? It's the stronghold. Now honestly, I gotta give this fake speedrunner props. Most fake speedrunners would just go into spectator mode to locate the portal, but this guy actually wasted a whole minute legitimately trying to find the portal room. Kudos to you. You get a gold star. They find the portal room. They massacre these little... actually, I can't even remember what they're called. Dust mites? I don't know. My brain farted. I can't remember what they're called. But he massacres them. The speedrunner fills the portal, or they're trying to fill the portal. I'm not really sure what's happening, but their game is glitching out, and they enter the end with the loading screen very abruptly cut. Now keep in mind, the speedrunner still has a spawn egg in their hot hotbar. What they are going to do with that, I don't know. I kid you not, you cannot make up these next few moments. The speedrunner legitimately finds Notch on the end island. They hand over all of their golden ingots to Notch, bribing him into beating the game for them. And it's just so goofy, it looks like a Tom and Jerry cat and mouse chase with bald little Notch floating around in the sky trying to defeat the Ender Dragon. But holy cow, Notch actually kills the dragon in one hit. And just like that, the speedrunner beats Minecraft in 9 minutes and 23 seconds, which is still literally more time than the world record legitimately done. What a baloney head. This speedrun, I don't know why, but it takes an unusually long time to load their world. But as soon as the speedrunner loads in, everything here is looking very normal, except for the fact that they are level 1 and they are selecting the 3rd slot on their hotbar. Yep, they spawn into what seems like a normal village. This is not normal. What in the Truman Show is this fake speedrun? Buddy, did you really think we wouldn't notice that there is a blue block wall surrounding you? I mean, maybe if I squint a little bit, I wouldn't have noticed. The speedrunner breaks down this tree, getting 3 oak logs, and then they attempt killing this cow. Emphasis on attempt because they are playing on a touchscreen tablet, and you know how I feel about tablets. Well, the speedrunner explores this village more, and they get very lucky finding a ruined nether portal. And I gotta say, it is pretty creative how they use the purple wool with the door. It's funny. They open up the chest in typical fake speedrun fashion, finding full netherite gear. How lucky. So the speedrunner equips their newly found gear. They open up the door to the nether portal, something I never thought I would ever hear myself saying. There is a sign that says loading terrain. How proper. They close the door behind them, and inside the nether chest are 4 eyes of ender. So the speedrunner exits the nether. They close the door behind them again. What a gentleman. And I just noticed now, this trap door in front of them is supposed to be the end portal, plus 10 points for creativity. So they fill the portal with eyes. Entering the end, there is another sign that says loading terrain. The speedrunner turns around and holy cow, they engage in a gruesome battle with a Wish.com Ender Dragon version 3.0. That's right, a double whammy back to back. Nah, I'm just kidding. An absolute silence. The speedrunner one by one slowly breaks all of the blocks off of this Wish.com dragon. And the last frame of this speedrun is a mystery that will keep me up at night for the rest of my life. If someone can help me to understand what this sign means, I honestly feel stupid. I have no idea what that is supposed to mean. Let me know in the comments. Thanks. This speedrun starts off and there is already something fake about it. No, it is not their hotbar. It's not their timer at the top left of the screen. You're gonna have to take a closer look to see what's fake about it. Yep, everything is normal here. The speedrunner just broke a single oak block on a tree. If you blink, then you must have missed it. There is a very sudden cut, and the speedrunner expected us to not notice this. After that single cut, it is very clear that the speedrunner is in a completely different area, most likely to get an advantage like spawning closer to a village. So the speedrunner does get 5 oak logs. They hit a pig, getting 3 raw pork chops, and would you look at that, they are very close to a village. How lucky. There's something very unusual about this speedrun though. The speedrunner mounts a horse, hits an octopus, and then wait a second, they just stop moving. Then they go into the menu. And I could be wrong, but I have reason to believe that the speedrunner is going to be cheating so much that they are trying to throw us off of our trail. So keep an eye out for anything that is fake. They go into a villager house opening a chest, and they get 10 apples and 4 bread. They then proceed to break 5 beds, and make a mental note of that number for later. You'll see why soon. Now this next clip is very, very important. Not only is there a second village in the distance, and a ruined nether portal, how lucky. Watch this next segment, and I bet you won't notice what's wrong with it. Yeah, did you notice it? At first glance, it appears as if this speedrunner has jumped, stopped briefly, and then continued running, right? But if we zoom in on the top right corner of the screen and go frame by frame, you can see that out of nowhere, 2 of these clouds turns into 3. So I could be wrong, but I have strong reason to believe that the speedrunner made a cut and was doing a ton of goofy nonsense in the background. And you will find out very soon what they did. So naturally, Naturally, of course, the speedrunner runs over to this ruined nether portal, and right off the bat, take a look at the screen on this freeze frame and tell me if you notice what has changed. Well, remember the number I told you earlier? 5 beds? Yeah, somehow they have 9 beds now. This guy has got me going like a detective. The rest of the speedrun is like this. Tons of faking, and they're pretty clever at hiding it. Now let's take a look at the items in the chest. 3 gold ingots, 3 flint, horse armor, a golden axe, a golden sword, and a fire charge. Remember these items for later. What happens next is going to shock you. The speedrunner just does nothing. They close the chest, opening it again. Their timer is running. They are wasting time. Then all of a sudden, they look over to the right, look back to the left, look up, look down, and then they open the chest again. But hang on a second. Let me play that clip